while building the solutions by the companies or anyone, you should have educationalists, you should have the advisor who knows pros and cons, who knows what will happen on the ground when we introduce these type of technology.
Today we have with us the Global Teacher Prize winner of 2020, Mr. Ranjitsinh Disale. Mr. Ranjit has also been appointed as the Education Advisor for the World Bank and a Climate Program Action Advisor for the OECD. The central government has also named Mr. Ranjit as the Innovative Researcher of the Year in 2016. He has also won the National Innovation Foundation's Innovator of the Year Award in 2018. Mr. Ranjit is passionate about building peace between young people across conflict zones and has started Let Us Cross Borders, an initiative that focuses on promoting peace and collaboration among students from different countries. He is most well known for demonstrating scientific experiments to the students from the science lab he has built at his home. Mr. Ranjit has taught an incredible 85,000 plus students from 1,400 classrooms in 83 countries via these virtual lessons. He is the teacher and foundational leader bringing technology and education to students all over the world. Thank you so much for joining us today, sir. It's lovely to have you here with us, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Isha, for such a warm welcome. I'm so happy to share my journey, my experiences with all the dignitaries, those who are listening today.
So to begin with, sir, you initially wanted to be an IT engineer, but you ended up being a pioneer in girls' education. So what was it about the domain of education that motivated you to work in it? Could you please walk us through your journey as a teacher?
You may call me as an accidental teacher. I never thought of being a teacher. I'm a huge fan of technology since childhood. And as a tech savvy student who likes more innovating more things in technology. So obviously my intention was to join engineering college as an IT engineer there. So that was my dream in the childhood. And I did the same. I joined engineering college after just pursuing the 12th exam and passing the common entrance exam. But there I had to face the bullying and ragging by the colleagues, and I was totally demoralized. I didn't know what to do, how to tackle these situations. So I came back to home for some time, and I was just initially thinking to join the new engineering college next year because I have just lost my 6 months of academic year. So it's better to take a rest now. It's for just refresh our minds and then rejoin the new engineering college next year. So this was my initial plan. At the age of 18, your parents, really worried about your future. And the same thing about my parents as well. So my father, who was a teacher, so he thought, Ranjit, you will be sitting at home and doing nothing, just, sitting at home. So he know what happens when a child or a guy who sit at home without doing any study or whatever. It's like empty mind is always devil's house. So my father advised me, you just join engineering instead of engineering college, just go in the teachers training college there. And then later on, if you think that you are enjoying, you can continue. Otherwise, you have option to rejoin the engineering college. So with the reluctant mind, I was hesitated what to do. But he pushed me, no, you don't have, just go there. And this is how I just joined in the teachers training college here in Solapur. And those 6 months, I experienced what change teachers can bring in the life of students and how important role teachers are playing in shaping the future of every student. And there I realized my teachers filled a pure passion in me, passion to redefine ourselves, research ourselves, and to contribute for the community. So after experiencing that, and I was experienced, I'm enjoying those 6 months. So I decided I will continue this. And then after completing my diploma, I got a job in Jila Parishad Primary School, Paritiwadi, where I'm still teaching. So why I'm coming here, why I joined this field of education when I have a completely different background. So only thing, those 6 months actually changed me throughout. The way I'm talking with each and everyone, feeling more confident, express myself more confidently, never giving up our attitude. So all these qualities actually, all these things come from the teachers training college. So I thought if those 6 months could change my life, it's better to now give it back to the society and change the lives of many students, those who need great teachers, those who are less privileged than others. So it's better to work in such an area where we needs to uplift their confidence, uplift their status. And that's why I decided to become a teacher. And this is how I came into this field.
It's incredible to hear your story, sir, and thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I think you have taken a right decision to become a teacher because you have done some remarkable work in the education sector, and we do need people like you who are the true agents of change. So thanks a lot for sharing that. So to move forward, since national education policy has come in 2020, everybody is talking about it being a visionary document, and there are a lot of changes that has been laid out in that particular document. What, according to you, are some changes in line with National Education Policy 2020 that can help empower the teachers and improve the learning outcomes of the students?
I think the new education policy that central government has brought is actually a very good visionary document. We got the new education policy after such a long time. It was talking about teachers' empowerment and resulting in improving learning outcomes. There are a couple of provisions that government has come up with. It's good to see now how the state governments reply to them. So first thing is that it's talk about the professional development of teachers straight away. It means teachers are expected to complete at least n number of hours as a professional development, and some part of their professional development will be online. So it means that government is now looking for teachers, those who are comfortable in using technology, those who can teach students online as well. Second thing is that need-based training will be organized. So earlier, what was happening? Straight away, trainings were forced on the teachers. Nobody was asking them whether do you need these type of trainings or not. So it was like few people with a committee of few people decides now we need to train teachers. We need to teach them these things. But what about the teachers? Whether they really need these type of trainings? That was not happening. So this policy now emphasis on need-based training should be organized. And while we organize such a trainings, it's also about following up. It means what teachers are doing after being trained, after being skilled, after being introduced to new methodologies. So what exactly they are doing after being trained, whether they are facing any problems. So there is a provision that continuous evaluation and monitoring system will go on right now. So it is one of the most important things that will make teachers more responsible and accountable for what he had learned and what he is delivering. So when you empower teachers, when we have great teachers, ultimately we get great students as well. So investment in teachers' education is the worthwhile investment, I feel. And the new education policy is ultimately not just talking about it, but also willing to implement the same way across the country. Because the countries like India, we need teachers of 21st century. Because currently students of 21st century are being taught by teachers of 20th century using that 19th century curriculum on an 18th century techniques. So it's a huge gap between learning style of students and teaching styles of teachers. So this education policy is helping teachers to bridge that gap and make them a teachers of 21st century. It's talk about their professional development. It's talk about environment, how teaching should happen in the classroom, what should be the learning environment in the classrooms. It's also responsibility of government, public sector, non-profit organizations now to join hands together, put together your money, your skills, your informations, your knowledge, work for the betterment of the education sector. Because the future of every country being nurtured in the four walls of our classrooms. And there we need to invest a lot. And I think this education policy more and more emphasis on teachers development. Also, it's talk about recruitment and transfer processes. It's an administrative process, but this also impact a lot on teachers improvement and performances as well. So on that front, administrative point, teachers are being assured now that they will not be transferred without giving any reasons, without any stipulated frame time slot. So they can feel comfortable now. At least 6 or 7 years or the 10 years, I'm going to teach here in the same schools. Coming back to my journey in 2009, at the time I made a plan of action for 5 years because I was sure that I will be here at least for 5 years. So when you're sure about your workplace, your environment, working conditions, so your work, your strategy is more and more precise. If you're not confirmed or you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, so it means your efforts are not just so. So I think these couple of provisions are really important for the betterment of education system.
Yes, so the need assessment part and the stability that they are not going to be transferred now and then, it works as a motivator for the teachers, and it reflects somewhere in their performance as well. And they modify their teaching techniques and styles accordingly, and it eventually improves the performance and learning outcomes of the students. All right, sir. So, since technology is at the forefront of your career, and COVID-19 has pushed all of us to switch to an online mode of learning and enable or like tech-enabled learning, but you are doing it from past few years. So you have introduced QR embedded textbooks for the children so that they can learn at their own pace and in their vernacular languages, basically providing them a customized learning experience. So how do you think what role technology plays in revolutionizing the entire landscape of education?
Technology has shown us how important it is in the education. It's just about COVID. COVID has shown us that we need to shift from now face-to-face teaching to online teachings, and we never thought of it. Initially, at the beginning of 21st century, so technology was introduced in education, but it was more of subsidiary or the alternatives, not in the mainstream teaching style. So COVID has brought technology now in the middle of education system. We must now empower teachers to use technology. So what change technology can bring in education is very important. We need to discuss about it and how technology is helping teachers and how it is being used. These are a couple of things we need to focus on. So first thing, we need teachers, those who are comfortable using technology. It's true that technology will not replace a teacher, but teachers, those who are using technology, may replace those who are not using it. For example, take example of a couple of edtech companies like Byju's, Vedantu's. They do have the teachers as well, but the teachers are comfortable and well equipped, well skilled with technology. So that's why they are replacing traditional teachers, those who still believe in the language of chalk and blackboard. So this is how we saw that these teachers being replaced by technocrat teachers. So this is one thing, what exactly technology can bring changes. It will change your working style. One more thing. Second thing, that talk about the students. They are students of 21st century. Have you ever taught them how to use mobile, how to use computers? No, because this technology helps them to learn at their own pace and wherever they want. In this time, in the world of 21st century, we need to give a freedom to learners. Freedom of what? Whatever they want to learn, wherever they want to learn, and irrespective where they are living. Currently, our education system is more time bounded and what do you say, the place bounded as well, bounded by the geographical areas. It means students in Paritewadi cannot be taught by best teacher in other cities and other countries. But technology is now playing a role that those who are the best teachers, for example, if on the higher graduation, so the university levels, and someone take example of any Nobel laureates in the physics. So can we have opportunity to attend his lectures? Those who won the Nobel Prize in the physics, the technology will now give his opportunity. It means students will get to know and to understand and to learn from the experts. It will bridge geographical location gap. Second thing, in terms of teachers will not need to limit themselves within the four walls of the classrooms. The world is now your classrooms. If you think that you are the best teacher, you are engaging students virtually, you have the best teaching methodologies and teaching techniques, you don't have to limit yourself within those four walls of the classrooms. The world is open. So this is how teachers can. Ranjitsinh in the Paritewadi. Now I have traveled and I have taught around 143 country students. So this is how I can use technology to reach out and to share my learning styles, my experiences, my knowledge, skills. So technology is giving opportunity to access the information and to grab those opportunities. It's very important because the world of 2030, world of 2050 is going to be very different. And if we need good capital in human, then we need to start investing since now, moreover in the world of technology. So talking about how technology being used, it's also important because technology is not like if you just throw technology on a problem, it will solve the problems. No, it will not. We need a human being, good humans, good tech savvy teachers, those who know how to use technology to make learning more better, more impactful, and students ease the learning of students much better. So this is where we need trained teachers. They know how to use technology because there are so many things happening and so many things being talked about the technology. Some pros and cons are there. So while this generation of 21st century going to be using technology, we need to teach them what is the good, what is bad, what should be done in the virtual field, virtual era, and what should not be done. So cyber security also comes to play their crucial role. So all these things when we talk about, and this will also help you to understand what role technology is going to play. Now the new technologies and new innovations like artificial intelligence, machine learning, all these things are going to impact on teaching style as well, because we cannot separate technology, teaching or education from the society. Whatever is happening, whatever the changes are happening in the society, they're going to be reflect in the classrooms as well. So I think these explanations or these things will help you understand what role technology is going to play. I think currently COVID has brought it in the mainstream. It's good to see how teachers and this education system takes it further.
Thank you so much for sharing that, sir. And I think I agree that technology does play a crucial role in the overall development of a child. And having said that, it is also widening the digital divide, and it is excluding a lot of students who live in the rural and remote areas of our country who do not have access to the smartphones or internet connectivity, and they struggle a lot to continue their online education. So what do you think, how can we bridge that gap? What can we do to overcome these kind of challenges?
Now, just forget about the technology and talk about the traditional teaching methodology and thing. At that time, there was a divide in terms of learning style, divide in terms of accessing the educations. So it means problems will be there. Only thing is that how we can assure at least 90% or 95% students could get access to this. It's true that around 56% of the world is still lacking without accessing the internet. It means when you talk about the technology, talk about the internet, it's not everyone's cup of tea. We need to pay the pay for the accessing it, pay to purchase the devices, and the internet cost as well. So there are so many things. In India, government has come up with the Right to Education Act 2009, and it's always talks about the free and quality education for each and every students. But in the world of in the era of COVID-19, education was not free. It means students, even sitting at home, they need to pay for the internet. The families have to purchase the devices. So what about the government? They haven't given them access or subsidized devices. We are giving around 2,000 rupees for the farmers, and the scheme is called as Krushi Samman Yojana, or the Farmers Samman Yojana. We are respecting farmers because they are actually giving us the food. But at the same time, we should also invest in education in the students. Can't we have a scheme like Student Samman Yojana, and we are giving them subsidized devices or 2,000 rupees for the internet access? Or can't we have the government agencies like BSNL offering free internet SIM cards, free SIM cards for the students to access internet? So this is how we can bridge that digital divide. Solutions are there. It's always about your passion, your willingness, whether you want to just talk about those problems or whether you want to solve those problems. I always believe that rather than talking about the problems, we should talk about the solutions. Let's come together on the platform like CSR Box. Come together, discuss about the solutions. What are the feasible solutions? Because for the talking about the problems, discussing about the problems, you don't need a great mind. But when we talk about the solutions, we need problem solvers, creative thinkers, and those creative thinkers being nurtured in the classrooms. So I think it's a fact, but it doesn't mean that we should remain it as always the fact. For example, right now we know the fact that around 56% population is not accessing the internet devices. It means then gradually we can set up targets. Next year we will achieve it by 60%, then 65%. So set up targets, and government tackling the huge masses, they can make it happen because it's all about their willing power. Other countries, if you look at the Western countries in Europe or in American countries, they haven't talked about this, because even in the US, you cannot claim that everyone is accessing the devices. Digital device is also there, but they come up with the blended mode of teaching, where partial part of teaching is happening online, partial is on in the offline mode. So it's not like always good and bad. It's not always right and wrong. There should be a golden point should be there, and in the education it should be there. So I think when we know that we don't have internet access, I initiated a project with Exim Bank under the CSR fund. We call it Saksham. So we have a mobile van of around 40 tablets are there, and around 1,800 girls being reached and accessing these devices. Every day our van is going to 7 villages, and every student is accessing the digital content. When we talk about digital education and technology, we think that every time we need access. No. When we interacting with teachers, when we want to ask them questions, that time you need a technology. Otherwise, your learning happens in the offline mode. You don't need any time the teachers and the internet every time. So these are some of the solutions we should talk about when we talk about the digital divide and what could be the feasible solutions. So a couple of things I talk about. Kenya was the only country in the world in 2020 when they announced this digital divide is actually not helping them, because when they shift from face-to-face to online teaching, and they saw that it's increasing the gap between those who access and those who couldn't. So they have stopped using the online classes and they stopped. But as a result, that the entire generation has lost the capacities to patience and learning mode. So when we talk about learning gaps and this digital divide is more increasing those gaps, we also should talk about or to think about the learning. It should happen every time. Students are learning anytime, anywhere, but what they are learning and how teachers are supporting their learning, it's very important. Because if you know the story of Eklavya and Dronacharya, Dronacharya was not present there, but still Eklavya managed to learn this archery, and he was the greatest archer. So this is where it's all about your passion, your willingness, your determined, how determined you are, and how passionate you are to solve the problems.
Right. Thanks a lot for sharing that. So it was truly insightful to hear that. And I think, as you have said, that we should focus more on these solutions and how we can build and develop certain set of solutions rather than just being stuck at the problem part. So we should shift our focus on how we can collaborate and build partnerships and develop certain set of solutions for the communities. And as you have mentioned, that technology is not the only thing that can enable the learning. It's also the teachers that play a key role in the overall holistic development of a child. So we should focus more on the blended mode of learning for the better outcomes. On the similar lines, I would like to ask, do you think the current rate at which all the edtech and other innovations are flooding the education space will lead to an improved education system? Or is there a need for change in the approach, and we should revive the older and much more sustainable model alongside tech? Could you shed some comments on that?
EdTech companies coming with their solutions, but their solutions, because they are EdTech companies, their solutions will all about the technology and more facilities, new gadgets will be there. That's the one thing. But when we try to introduce the technology in the educations, it should be molded the way education sector needs, whether it is fulfilling the needs of education system. Now, what is the need of education system or the teachers and students? They need some sort of devices that could connect themselves easily. And this is not happening in the rural part. So students sitting at homes, teachers sitting in the cities. So we need to bridge those connections. So whatever the solutions are coming today will be helping, but will not fulfill the requirements of the sector. So what could be the better solutions? I think just about needs, analyzing those needs, and then coming up with the solutions. It will be the good strategies to introduce the technology in the educations, irrespective whether the companies are coming up or any non-profit organization coming with the better solutions. Second thing is very important. While building the solutions by the EdTech companies or anyone, you should have educationalists, you should have the advisor who knows pros and cons, who knows what will happen on the ground when we introduce these type of technology. I made with so many tech giants companies. They come up with, Ranjit, this is our product and it will improve your learning. I simply ask them, tell me how. So it's not their role how the learning will, the device will impact on teachers or students' learning style. Yeah, it's true that the device been improved in terms of specification, in terms of any facilities, but improving the facilities, improving more and more gadgets will really make learning happening in the classrooms. So usually it doesn't. So how learning could happen? So it's all about engaging, enjoying in a meaningful way. So, and there should be an element of personal touch in terms of presence of teacher, because ultimately if we learn through the YouTube and other internet or any virtual media, there should be a part of teachers. And edtech companies, I think personally, it's my personal opinion, but it's missing. Just look at why the OECD and World Bank thought of appointing a teacher as their advisor. Because teachers know what happened in the classrooms, what would work in the classrooms. So at the companies, if you want to build such a great solutions, you must have those advisors, those who work on the ground. Even some of the CSR companies, I have seen that you come up with the CSR project in educations. But as a teacher, I many times feels this is not going to solve the problems. What exactly? Because just I don't know when the CSR policy be introduced, but still problems are there. When you just when I just go on the national CSR portal and I see that much amount been spent in educations, but how many problems will solved by these projects? We should ultimately now shift in the world of fourth industrial revolutions, and CSR in the fourth world revolution should be something different. Listening from the ground, and the solutions should be based on the needs and the requirement, and the tech companies providing the solutions. This might be the good strategy to develop the new solutions and coming with more impactful solutions moreover.
Right, sir. Thanks for highlighting that. And I couldn't agree more that being a daughter of a teacher, I understand what role a teacher plays in the life of a child, and nobody and no technology can ever replace that. And as you have also highlighted and mentioned that if we include more educators and learners while we are developing certain interventions, rather than just creating linear solutions and without proper analyzing the root cause of the problem and understanding the complexities of the system. So these kind of solutions are not sustainable, and they do backfire a lot, because we are just providing solution without even understanding the problem. So they do not sustain for a very long time, and therefore we should definitely include people like you and certain other advisors for building any kind of education intervention. All right, so moving forward, I'll zoom out a little, and I'll talk about the girl child education that you have been championed. And I would like to ask that, since a lot of families in India do not prioritize girls' education, especially in the tribal areas, directly contributing to the high dropout rates of girls, and there's a digital gender divide as well that is increasing nowadays. So, how did you overcome these challenges, and what approach you have taken in your methods? Could you please elaborate on this?
Not just about strategy, I will just try to share the solutions I come up and then thought process behind those solutions. So straight away, just go back in 2009, and day 1, 5th of January 2009. I still remember, and my classroom where I'm teaching now, it's surrounded by buffaloes, cows, and it's more about in between cow shade and storeroom. And there I saw that parents' indifference towards education. And around 2% girls were just coming to schools, and rest of them just sitting at home, helping the lending hands to their parents, taking care of their little brothers and sisters. And no one was talking about their problems. No one was caring about their issues, because girls' education was not given priority. It's not in my village, but across the world, we know that it's a gender bias. Girls are not expected to become a breadwinners for their families. And in traditional families here in India, it's especially in rural areas. So girls are always about, oh no, it's not, she's not our family. She's going to marry, and she will be whatever she knows and the capacities she will be using for her husband and her family. So their education, their lifestyle, their needs are not considered. This is the thing. But when I survey my village, I collected some data of about their educational status, their economical status, their cultural background, all these things. And there I came up with very interesting fact. The female percentage of females was more than the males in terms of their educations. So on an average, females' average education year was around 6 years. It means they have completed around 7th grade. education, and males was around 4 to 5 grades. It means males have completed at least 5 years of schooling education and females have completed 7 years of schooling education. Basic, it was average. So I thought that this is where I should take a help for females, especially females in education system in my teaching learning style. And I initiated a project called as Alarm on, TV Off. So I had set up an alarm on schools building, and that goes rings at 7 p.m. every night. So this is an indication for parents and families. Now stop working. Now sit together with your kids and help them in completing their homework. Ask them the questions, what happened in the classrooms, what you did, what you liked, what you didn't like, what you're going to do tomorrow, these type of things. It's more about taking responsibilities and ownership of their own kids. Females were more, what you can say, responsible, accountable, and they feel, oh, we are responsible. Not a teacher is only responsible person for future of our kids. We should be taken as responsible. So females started taking the responsibilities. When you trust on any girl child or any woman, she feels motivated, she feels inspired, and she takes more responsibility on her. I experienced that. Second thing is that how to pursue the families that girls' education also matters. We should give them. So my strategy was very simple. I was inviting girls nearby villages, those who were educated, those who did something different. They were just coming to my school and sharing their experiences, how education has made some changes, how education had changed their life throughout, and what status, what achieved by them. And at the end of our sessions, I simply was asking questions to families. Whether do you want your kids to do the same things that the girls had done, or you want to do the same thing that you are doing now? It means you want your kids to do the farming or to do something that she is doing right now. And if that girl can do, why not yours? Only thing is that her family, her fathers have invested in educations, and now look at the returns. So now she can handle both families, her parents and her husband's family as well. So this is how girls' education is important. And after experiencing that, then they realize, oh, it's better to send the girls in the classrooms. And the girls were enjoying. I use the technology of QR codes just because to help my girl child, even sitting at home, they could access my internet, they could access my digital content. And this helped every girl, not only in my state, but not in my school, but across the country. Those who still sitting at home, still they were accessing the digital content and started their learning. So I think girls' education is not just about getting them in the classrooms. It's always about feeling them safe and secure in the class, in the community. It's also about unleashing their potentials. Their potential hasn't been unleashed yet. Even we now see that girls are everywhere, they're dominating and they're empowering the community. But what percentage of girls? Very low. So we should now move ahead with supporting girls' education, advocating their girls' education. Because when some pandemic and some unprecedented times happens like COVID, girls are the first who being removed from the schools. And the girls are the last one who come back to school. Even I have seen that so many families, educated families, they're not giving internet devices to their girls, but giving more importance to the boys. This should be changed. This should be changed by what? By action of ourselves, not just talk about it. Rather than talking too much about it, I started from own experience and just experience, because I more believe in acceptance principle. When the change is accepted by the community, the result is better. When you just force, when you just throw a change on them, then there will be counterpart, or there will be reactions to any actions. So my strategy was very simple. Let them accept. I was patient. I know, because this change will not happen at night, in the night throughout. No, it will take some time, but gradually the change will happen. Only thing is that we should trust ourselves, believe in our capacities, that it will happen.
Thank you so much for sharing that, sir. It's wonderful to hear the strategy that you have adopted to involve the communities in developing any kind of intervention and solution, and sharing your personal experiences and involving them at every step of the solution is a key to bring that sustainable change, I would say, because nowadays most of the organizations or individuals, we just enter the communities without even understanding their problems, their challenges, and we try to sort of force our perspective and our solution on them without understanding what do they want, and how could they help us in bringing that change for themselves. So it's important to build that connect and to build that trust with the communities and involve them thoroughly in while developing any sort of interventions to bring sustainable change. Okay, sir. So that brings me to our last question for today. And you have already shared this, but I would still like to ask and emphasize that since you have spent considerable time in the domain of education and you have seen the changes upfront, what would you say are the challenges that an organization or an individual faces or they might face when wanting to disseminate education, and what is the way forward?
I learned so many things, and what should be the takeaways from education system. I experienced, because my journey begins in teachers training college, and some of the takeaways I took from there, that be a change maker, and you are the change maker of yourself. When you change yourself, it means you have the ability to change the others. This is the one thing that teachers and everyone should keep in mind, that while tackling the issues and problems in education system, look what education system can do. It actually enables the growth of any country, and it provides the human capital that country needs. So in that point, education system or the sector is very important, right? But only thing is that we need great teachers. How many of you, the young generation, thought of being a teacher? Teachers are not respected the way they should be. The Global Teacher Prize is not just about recognizing my work or anyone. It's also about shining lights on teachers and giving them respect that they deserve. We should come up with these type of things, that where communities, companies, society, government start respecting teachers. Just go back when we were at the childhood and how we were respecting our teachers, and look at the performance of those teachers and talk about today's performance. So I think only thing is that start respecting teachers, start believing in them and supporting in them. In last 70 years, we just talk about the teachers, but haven't thought of supporting them, haven't thought of respecting them. Government and other sectors, we are throwing so many administrative works on them. But what about their performance? I would like to compare not Indian, but any cricket team with the teachers team. 11 players are being supported by coaches, main coach, batting coach, bowling coach, performance enhancing coach, physios. It means for 11 playing cricketers, we have at least 6 or 7 supporting staff. Teaching is a complex job. But does anyone support teachers? Does we have this type of supporting system to them? How we can talk about their performance, and how we can think of the better solutions and better improved results from them. So my appeal to those who are listening to the CSR Box initiative talk series, think of these solutions as well. Think of building support system in government school, and then look at the performance of students or teachers. I think when teachers improving themselves, their performance, ultimately students' performance is going to be improving. So I think this could be my takeaways for you all, that build the solutions like supporting teachers, addressing their issues, and for the betterment of not only in education but across of the countries as well.
Right. And I think that we all know that teachers are definitely overburdened with a lot of administrative work, and it hampers their teaching, it hampers their performance and delivering of the education. And as you have said, and I would like to emphasize it, that we should all come together and support the entire fraternity of teachers, educators, and learners. We should support all the teachers across the globe, and most importantly, we should celebrate them because they play a very significant role in all of our lives. So on that note, I would like to bring this interview to a close. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you.
I hope these solutions, whatever I shared, my experience, it will help you to build better solutions for the betterment of education system. If you think that I could support you, I could help you all in any times, I'm more than happy to help you all. Thank you so much.